Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts about the 40K universe. I am your host, Gersh1, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we talk about the Necrons with a viewer request. Now, of course, if you have any viewer requests, please comment down below and let us know what topic you guys would like to hear a video about. So let's get into 40 Facts about the C'tan. The C'tan, or Star Gods, also known as Yangire in the Eldar lexicon, are said to be the oldest intelligent beings in existence in the Milky Way galaxy. It is said that they were created at the beginning of the universe, spawned from swirling gases and enormous amounts of energy, and as such are etheric creatures by nature. The birth of the entities known as the Star Gods occurred at the same time as the moment of creation itself, as they formed from the vast energies first unleashed by the churning masses of cataclysmic force. In the archaic interweaving of matter and energy, the sea of stars began to swirl into existence, and for an eon, the universe was nothing more than hot hydrogen gas and light element dust, ruled by the gravity force of billions of newborn suns. Long before the first planets had formed and cooled, the very first truly self-aware beings emerged, their thoughts encased within the lines of force produced by the plasma and electromagnetic flares of the stars themselves. In later times, these entities would become known as the C'tan, but early in their existence they were nothing like the malevolent beings they would eventually become. They were little more than monstrous energy parasites that suckled upon the solar energies of the stars that had brought them into existence, shortening the lives of otherwise main-sequence stars by millions of standard years. These star vampires learned to move on the wings of the universe's electromagnetic flux, leaving their birthplaces to drift through the cosmic ether to new stellar feeding grounds and begin their cycle of stellar destruction once again. Beings of pure energy, they paid no mind to the hunks of solid matter they passed in the vacuum of space, the blazing geothermal fires and weak geomagnetic fields of these new planets, insufficient to be worth feeding even in their ravenous hunger. As time went on, the Star Gods encountered the Necroteer, which gave them the ability to interact with the physical world, thanks to their technology which transferred their consciousness into robotic bodies, made out of living metal called necrodermis. The C'tan used the hatred of the Necron tier toward the ancient species called the Old Ones to help them gather the more appetizing energies of living beings that they came to crave. The C'tan hated the warp and its psychic energies, even as they craved the living energies of organic beings, and had the Necrons construct a series of pylons on the world of Cadia and other planets across several sectors in the Segmentum Obscurus, which then completed were intended to close off the warp from the material universe, utterly destroying any living creature with a soul, leaving all life in the galaxy as nutrition for the C'tan. It was the C'tan who designed the process of biotransference for the Necron tier, transferring their consciousness into undying mechanical bodies composed of necrodermis. However, the biotransfer process also transformed the Necron tier into the Necrons, soulless beings who have difficulty taking pleasure in anything and who can never truly enjoy their immortality. After the end of the war in heaven against their ancient foes, the Old Ones, the Necrons, led by the Silent King, successfully rebelled against the C'tan Star Gods. Those C'tan who survived the revolt were broken into fragments known as the C'tan Shards that were more easily contained and imprisoned within the arcane Necron devices known as Tesseract Labyrinths. To learn more about the War in Heaven and the history of the C'tan and the Necron tier, please check out our Necron playlist. Start with part 1 and you'll learn all about the War in Heaven. A C'tan Shard is all that remains of the once mighty Star Gods of the Necron antiquity. They were now only echoes of their former selves, splinters of energy that survived their Necron servants' ancient betrayal and were enslaved in turn. Most now languish in unbreakable servitude to their former vassals, utterly incapable of acting without commission. Should a C'tan Shard rebel or a fault develop in its control relay, then failsafe mechanisms automatically activate, whisking the creature back into its tomb, there to languish for a long Terran century, until times are dire enough that the Necrons must call upon its service again. Even with these precautions, the Necrons are wary of employing Catan shards in battle. Though the chance of escape is remote, the possibility remains, so the day must be truly dark before the Tesseract labyrinths are open and the Catan unleash upon the galaxy once again. In the late 41st millennium, the foes of the Necrons have so far only encountered two types of Catan shards, those of the Nightbringer and the Deceiver. Even now, in their reduced and weakened state, Catan shards are beings of nearly unlimited power. They can manifest energy blasts, control the minds of lesser beings, manipulate the flow of time, and banish foes to alternative dimensions. Indeed, a Catan shard's ability are limited only by two things: its imagination, which is immense, and the glimmering memories of the beings from which it was severed. While no individual Catan shard has a full recall of the omnipotent being it once was, each carries the personality and hubris of the vaster and more influential being. Though a Catan shard has the power to reduce a tank to molten metal with but a gesture, it might simply not occur to it to do so, as its separated self would have tackled the situation through other means, such as devolving the creature into primordial ooze, or deceiving them into attacking their own allies. The only hope of defeating a Catan is to breach its necrodermis shell, the living metal form that cages its energetic essence. If the necrodermis is compromised, the Catan shard explodes in a pulse of blinding energy, its being scattered to the galactic solar winds. While it is true that many Catan shards are now indentured to the Necron service, this by no means accounts for the entire pantheon of Catan. Rumors of Catan-like beings can be found across the galaxy, though many are merely entities that exhibit inexplicable reality-warping powers. Indeed, any such being, whether warp-spawn demon, energy-based life form, or an alien with advanced technology, can be mistaken for a Catan, if the observer is primitive or simply ill-informed. This discrepant information causes great confusion concerning the exact number and nature of the surviving Catan, even amongst the Eldar. Records held in the Black Library contradict those maintained in Althway, which are again at odds with the archives held at Alioc. There might be 4 Catan at present in the galaxy, 4,000 or any number in between. All Eldar agree that the splinters of knowledge held by the Imperium of Man are so flawed and confused that they, if anything, move further from the truth with each fresh discovery made. Any who go looking for the proof of the Catan's existence can easily uncover it, but this speaks more to the mindset of the searcher than it does to the value of the evidence. Transcended Catan are the most dangerous of their kind amongst the Catan shards. Each is an aggregation of anywhere between 12 and 100 lesser Catan shards, and its power far surpasses the sum of its parts. Those few that are chained to the Necron service are not contained by Tesseract labyrinths, but by energy shackles designed eons ago by the legendary Necron artificer, Svorok. Such devices are unstable, making the deployment of Transcended Catan without the device known as a Tesseract Vault to contain it something of a risk, only undertaken in times of direst need. For this reason, when contained within a Tesseract Vault, a Transcended Catan is also kept within a special energy shield generated by a robotic Necron construct known as a Canoptic Sentinel. Canoptic Sentinels are used to control the raw element energies of the Transcended Catan. The Sentinel draws from the Transcended Catan's own power to generate a force field strong enough to keep the Catan shackled to the mechanisms of the Tesseract Vault. At the same time, constructs known as Canoptic Leeches arrayed and docked around the circumference of the vault, and an army of Canoptic Scarabs move to constantly repair any damage done to the arcane prison. There are only so many Scarabs and Canoptic Leeches holding the Tesseract Vault together, and as the Transcended Catan bends reality and tears metal off the vault in its bid for freedom, the Canoptic machines rebuild its prison using the debris in a cycling process of destruction and reconstruction. There are many Catan that existed in the galaxy, and we will go over the most important Catans in their own separate videos. but one lesser known Catan is Kalugura. Kalugura is a Catan who was captured and transformed into a Catan shard. Kalugura was once a horrific engine of destruction. This particular Catan shard was entombed on the world of Kalugura eons ago at the command of the Silent King, then the supreme overlord of the Necron's race ruling Triarch. The reason why this shard was imprisoned and is no longer deployed by the Necrons is unknown. Another notable Catan is the Flayer, known by the ancient Necron name of Landu Goro, and as Landu Goro the Flayer. He was one of the mightiest Catan star gods who ruled over the Necron tier and helped with the biotransfer that made them into the Necrons. It is said that only the Catan known as Landu Goro was utterly destroyed, rumored to have met annihilation at the hands of the Maynarch dynasty on the order of the Silent King. The Flayer's last act was to curse the Necron race in his final moment of existence. This curse, one of the varieties of creeping madnesses which plague the waking Necrons, is referred to as the Flayer virus, and this is the cause of the Necrons becoming the fell creatures known as the Flayed Ones. Those affected Necrons awaken with an unquenchable hunger for the warm flesh and blood of the living. The final Catan we will talk about in this video is the Outsider, whose true name is Tassara Noga. He is one of the 4 remaining Catan, the star gods of the Necrons. The Outsider is probably the most mysterious of all 4, and very little is known about it. The Outsider, like the other remaining Catan, was tricked by Segura, the Eldar Harlequin laughing god, into feasting upon its fellow Catan. However, for reasons that could only be speculated at, a fragment of each consumed deity's consciousness remained and plagued the mind of the Outsider, driving him insane. In its insanity, it left the populated area of space and now wanders out into the void, where it fights its inner demons and feeds once more upon the stars that gave him birth. It also had a hellish presence, and it caused madness in all who came close, and many killed themselves rather than having to face the Outsider. While the Outsider cannot match the Nightbringer for pure force or the Deceiver for cunning, it is rumored to be the most deadly and dangerous of all the 4 remaining Catan. Should the Outsider return from its self-imposed exile, the galaxy shall bear witness to a gathering not seen since the last Necron harvest, which almost wiped out all life in the galaxy, and brought about the downfall of the Old Ones. The Outsider shares some similarities with the Nightbringer. It is said that to look upon it would cause terror, much like the Nightbringer's infusion of terror in the young races produced by the Old Ones, but the Nightbringer and the Outsider are 2 different entities. Since the recent invasion of the galaxy by the High Fleet of the Tyranids, it has been speculated by some in the Inquisition that the Outsider is behind the Tyranids' arrival in the Milky Way galaxy. He may be the driving force behind the unified Tyranid hive mind, as he seeks to destroy the galaxy's defenders with a living weapon that is the Tyranid species. If he is the Tyranid's ultimate master, then there may be no stopping the Tyranids from consuming the Imperium of Man and all who would oppose the Catan. The Necrons will fully awake and shall once more harvest all life in the galaxy. And those were 40 facts about the Catan. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said in the video, we're going to do individual lore for the Deceiver and the Nightbringer, so please subscribe to the channel to get that. And again, thank you for suggesting this topic. If you guys have any more suggestions, please comment down below with suggestion followed by the topic that you guys would like to hear discussed. And let me know, comment down below what you think about the theory of the Tyranids and the Outsider. Do you think the Outsider is truly behind the Tyranid invasion? Does that ruin the Tyranids for you guys? Because it ruins my theory on the Tyranids a little bit. Maybe that's for an episode of For the Greater Wall. So comment that over there and we could talk more about it. But again, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, and sharing. By you guys hitting the like button, it's really helping out the channel. So again, thank you so much for liking this. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. This was Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate signing out.